Well, here in France now, the new Prime Minister, Sébastien Lecornu, held talks with socialist leaders this morning as he tries to consult ahead of putting together a programme and a new government. He'll meet later with the far-right Rassemblement National. And I'm joined now by our France politics editor, Marc Perelman. Hi, Marc.
Hi, Angela.
Lecornu, then, he's been in the job for just over a week, really, and he's been consulting and talking a lot. Where's it all going?
No one really knows, and certainly he's hoping that it will lead him to somewhere that is a budget that will be voted in Parliament, but there's a long, long road ahead, and it reminds us of his predecessor, who also were consulting, and they didn't have much success. He has consulted, but not said very much, according to the people who met with him, including the socialists this morning. This was an important meeting because the socialists probably hold his future in their own hands because they have a small group in parliament, 66 MPs out of 570 and so on. But it's the key for him. If he can buy, if not their alliance, at least their neutrality, he can survive. However, when they came out, the leaders of the Socialist Party said, we had a long discussion, but Lecornu was very, very vague. Why is he very, very vague? Because obviously he's holding his cards very close to his chest because he does not want to make concessions immediately. He wants to see where all the different players might be able to go or to compromise. And he's certainly trying to take his time. Obviously, the clock is ticking, but he's going to address Parliament on October the 2nd, which gives him more or less 2 weeks' time to figure out what he will make in terms of concessions, what kind of budget proposal he will have to put forth, because we already know that the 44 billion in cuts that his predecessor proposed is dead on arrival. He has to come up with probably less cuts, maybe do some favors to the left, some kind of wealth tax. This has been the talk of the town for weeks now, or maybe less drastic cuts in some areas, maybe suspending the very, very controversial pension reform passed a couple of years ago. He will have to make some kind of concessions and at the same time, make sure he doesn't lose the support of the conservative. It's a complicated puzzle. This is why he is listening a lot and not talking too much, but he'll be forced to do so soon because obviously you can consult, but at some point you have to step up and decide.
You have to decide. And tomorrow is another day of action. This one's going to be different. This is trade union organised. It's a strike and a day of action. And unlike the one, a week ago, which wasn't quite the event that people predicted, this, it is thought, is going to be big. I think we have a soundbite of the outgoing Interior Minister, Bruno Retailleau. Let's listen to that first. Bruno Retailleau.
I expect there to be very strong mobilization with a hybrid day, and that is what makes it difficult. Hybrid because early in the morning there is a risk of blockades, sabotage, small groups of ultra-leftists who want to cause damage and who are extremely violent, and there's a risk of these violent groups converging. And then there will be the marches.
So, big challenge for Lecornu tomorrow.
Yes, obviously, we heard the Interior Minister, who's in charge of the police, warning about chaos, riots, and so on. Yes, there is often an element of that, and he wants to make sure that his warnings are being heard. Those are also warnings towards the hard left, whom he accuses of fomenting all this trouble. But the main challenge is the fact that there'll be a strike. And according to the early indications, it will be widely followed. And this is a way for the unions also to tell the Prime Minister, yes, there is the fight in Parliament, but don't forget the streets and the social movement. And when you have a very weak Prime Minister and maybe a social movement, and if the strike is widely followed tomorrow, as appears to be the case, this will also enter in his calculation because the strikes are essentially about social reforms and especially the abrogation or suspension of the pension reform we talked about. And if there is a strong mobilization, and if this is followed up by further days of strike and so on, he might be forced to make more concessions. So everything is political right now, and so he'll be clearly watching what will happen tomorrow, hoping that things will remain calm, but also he's going to monitor how many people will take to the streets, how many people will show up for work, because this will obviously make his response different in one case or the other.